watching a global celebration of all things Notre Dame, where we invite you to watch, connect, give, and vote. This is Notre Dame Day, live from the LaFortune Student Center.
I'm Abby Wuellner. I'm a 2005 grad and the daughter of a domer. My dad graduated in 1974. It's 5 a.m. in Missouri, but if you're up, hey, Dad. I'm here at the LaFortune Student Center on the Notre Dame campus, just a few hours, or a few yards, that is, away from the university's main building and the Golden Dome. This will be our broadcast headquarters for the next 18 hours as we celebrate all things Notre Dame. This hour, we'll be welcoming some international students to the Notre Dame Day studio, and we'll look at some of the highlights from our celebration so far. We'll take you inside the offices of The Observer, the student-run newspaper, as they prepared today's paper, and you'll see a performance from Notre Dame alumnus Pat McKillen. But for right now, let's take a look at the interview we ran from the ever-popular Carl Ackermann. He thought he'd surprise us with a costume switch, so take a look.
Notre Dame interview area, and we are welcoming to our interview area right now Professor Carl Ackermann from the Mendoza College of Business. And the first question I have to ask you is, what do you do here?
Well, thanks, Jack, and it's a great pleasure to meet you. I teach the introductory finance course here at Notre Dame. I've been here for 16 joyous years.
And I'm already convinced it's a very interesting class indeed. Now, every professor has a signature area in their teaching that they are especially passionate about. What is yours?
Yeah, Jack, that's a great question. And I think that there are two areas that Americans are severely undereducated in, and those are nutrition and also personal finance. Now, I know nothing about nutrition. I still eat Captain Crunch, for example, but I have learned a lot about personal finance. And so what we try to do is bring a study of our students' personal financial affairs into that introductory finance course. They find it interesting, they find it practical, they find it relevant in their lives. So for example, we try to show them how they can accumulate a significant amount in their employer's retirement plan over the course of their careers, and then way more importantly than that, what they can do with that to then help others and improve the state of the world, support important social causes, etc.
All right, now everybody who is watching us, and they are watching from all around the world, literally, is wondering, what's the deal with the gorilla suit?
So, thanks a lot for asking. I teach the introductory finance course, and that is one of the very first courses that business students take. I teach it in the fall semester of the sophomore year. And in fact, the way the schedule runs, usually that's the very first business exam that they take. And so because of that, on the way leading up to that exam, and also in the exam itself, they're extremely nervous. So I have to do something to try to break the tension. And so what I do is during the exam, I will slip away to the men's room and I will change out of my regular suit and I will change into this gorilla suit, and then I run through the exam yelling and screaming and throwing out bananas to the students, and that allows them, I think, to really relax, smile, laugh, and after that, I think, do much better work.
You know, I think that's a terrific idea. My dad was a law professor in Boston, and in the old days, they used blue books. And I used to get to see some of the blue books, and you could see the sweat stains.
Oh, yeah.
And the writing would start okay, and it would almost be illegible. So not only in that class, but does your gorilla suit routine, do you think it helps calm them throughout their years in Mendoza?
Oh, I think so. I think it's important with something like that to set the tone and create an atmosphere of approachability between the students and the professors, and I think this is one of the things that sets that tone immediately. When you asked about that, I mentioned that this is something that I used to do, and the reason I don't do it anymore is that after I did this for a couple of years, students got onto the pattern and they figured out what was coming. And so one year when I went to the men's room to change and came back into the room as the gorilla, a student exited the room at that time and grabbed my actual clothes and made off with them. So when I went back to the men's room to change, my clothes were not there, so I had to come back into the room like this and rot for about an hour and a half in this suit. It's about 200 degrees in this suit, and then after I wore it for about an hour, my wife told me I smelled like a tire for about a week. So now we've gone to a plan where it's much more sophisticated now. We have about 10 gorillas and bananas come in simultaneously and battle it out.
Well, and tonight we've decided to add television lights to the gorilla suit. So we won't keep you too much longer, but I can't let you go without referencing a guest we had on earlier tonight, Ruth Riley, the Notre Dame and WNBA, an Olympic basketball star. And I understand that you once went one-on-one with Ruth in the classroom. What was that?
Yeah, it's actually true, and we wish we had had you there announcing, Jack. That would have made it extra special. But Ruth, I didn't have Ruth as a student, but I got to know her through a couple of her friends. And so in her upper class years, we would trash talk back and forth about an upcoming one-on-one game of Nerf basketball. And she would sometimes visit my class on the way by and poke her head in and say, you know, you're lucky I don't have time to come in there and embarrass you. But finally, senior year, on the last week of classes, she showed up with a Nerf hoop, and she walked in the classroom and stuck it on the window and demanded a match. I made her sit through the entire class so that her mind would be a little bit numb by the time we got to the game. And then when we got there and played, we played one-on-one, I decided she would destroy me if I played conventionally. So instead of going where I thought I should go, I decided to do the opposite. I reached my hand out, and suddenly I had the ball, and I think she was kind of surprised too. And then I went on offense, and I was able to do a quick up and under move. I did score that basket, and I think that game was supposed to be up to 5, but once I got the lead, I immediately claimed the game was over and immediately retired. I haven't shot another Nerf shot since, but it was, you know, for me, lots of fun, but really just another day at the office beating, you know, perhaps Notre Dame's most decorated athlete in a one-on-one game.
And certainly that's a great indication. And I think people would be stunned at how many of Notre Dame's high-profile athletes also compete and compete successfully in the Mendoza College of Business.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been very lucky to have them. And so many of our athletes, of course, go on to tremendous success in their careers. And I think a big part of that is the time management skills that they learn along the way. I think to be successful as athletes and students, they need to learn to manage their time so efficiently and effectively. And then we find that when they leave Mendoza and they go on to their careers, when they often give up the athletic side at that point, now they're able to devote all of their energies to their careers and become extraordinary successes as a result of it.
Well, I know you're also a runner, which is probably why you're in such good shape, because if I were wearing that suit right now, the sweat would be pouring off my face. But you're a cool customer. Professor, thank you.
Oh, thanks, Jack.
Thanks for coming by tonight. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me so much. And remember, you can vote for the undergraduate program at the Mendoza College of Business.
You know what, and everybody's been so nice tonight. Nobody's been doing that, but this is kind of a competition tonight where you can vote for your favorite area of the university. We have a $250,000 fund that will be divvied up based on the votes. All you got to do is contribute $10 or more, and you get 3 votes. So thanks for bringing that up.
Thanks, Jack.
We'll be bringing it up more and more.
I'm about to donate and vote myself.
All right, thank you.
And as we've seen, Notre Dame Day is a global celebration. Now we're excited to welcome some Notre Dame students who met each other pretty far away from campus. 2 of you are juniors, 1 of you spending a year here. Tell me a little bit about yourselves. First, give us your Notre Dame introduction. We'll start with you, Felipe. Tell me first, last name, where you're from, why you're here, and what dorm you're in, of course.
So my name is Felipe Carbonari. I'm living here in Stanford, and I'm staying here just for 1 year and studying civil engineering.
Just for 1 year, all right. And what brought you to Notre Dame for 1 year?
It's my abroad year, and I choose to come to the United States, apply for some universities. Notre Dame is a very good one, it's a high-quality education, very good engineering program, and they accepted me, so a good reason to come here.
Well, we're glad it has that kind of reputation internationally as well as right here in the U.S. So we'll pass it along to Dan, and if you can steal the microphone there and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Dan Sullivan. I'm from Austin, Texas, and I live in St. Edwards Hall. I'm here for a lot of the same reasons Felipe is. It's just it's the best place I got into, and I study international economics here. So going to Brazil for a semester just seemed like a natural choice for me.
Okay, and one last introduction, Evan.
Yeah, well, I'm Evan Breezius. I'm a junior. I study accounting. And I guess my reasons are probably pretty similar to the rest of these guys, except I happen to study at the best undergraduate business school in the country. So I'm very proud of that. But I was very happy to meet Dan and Felipe down in Brazil because it was a great semester.
All right, since you have the microphone and you just mentioned your semester in Brazil, you guys all 3 different dorms, very different backgrounds. Tell us a little bit about how you met.
So I guess all 3 of us are probably pretty forgetful. So Felipe had the terrifying experience where he was at the airport and he realized that he didn't have some of his visa information that he would need when he got here. So our program director shot us an email, our American program director, and said, hey, how about you meet this Notre Dame student because he's one of ours and make sure that he's okay while he stays in São Paulo because he's never been there before. So I guess I'll let Felipe talk about what we did together when we met there in São Paulo.
Yeah, I was pretty scared about. I lost one of my documents that are required to get into the United States in my connection flight. I got a connection flight from my hometown to São Paulo, and in this travel, I lost one of my documents, but I got lucky because I found Daniel and Evan, and it's kind of weird, but 2 American guys were introducing Brazil to a Brazilian kid, but it was really, really fun. They really helped me out in that situation.
Did one of them wind up putting you in a suitcase? How exactly did you get back? I've always wondered what happens if you lose your passport or your driver's license when you're studying abroad.
This document is called Yes 2019, and they shipped it for me from New York in a super emergency shipping. And he got there in 2 days.
Wow, all right. And so in that time, you met some pretty good friends. And Dan, you guys are still working on a project you started in Brazil?
Yeah, a lot of this is Evan's work, but I'll try and present it as best I can. Notre Dame, unfortunately, doesn't have a super strong reputation in Brazil, which is a shame because it's a quality institution. It's Catholic, which draws upon the Catholic roots of the country. And so with the Notre Dame Club, we've been really working to recruit high school students of quality to apply internationally to the university. So a lot of that has been, simple grassroots stuff, going to high schools, going to events for high school students and pitching the university really, really representing it in a way that it hasn't been represented so far. And with some of the Brazilian students here, I know Evan and Felipe have been doing a sort of video presentation program. If that sounds about right.
Yeah.
To sort of, get onto the social media and really create a presence for that. And I know the Notre Dame Alumni Club of Brazil has been very helpful as well. And so far, there's been a big result in applications. They had 3 accepted Brazilians last year, and this year there's been 14?
16, I think.
16 accepted Brazilians. Yeah. So increased, 600% or so.
Wow, nicely done. And we'll pass the microphone on down to Evan. Yeah. Congratulations to you and Felipe. That's an extraordinary result from your efforts. What's it been like for you to work with these students and this network in Brazil?
Well, yeah, it's been a really cool experience. I mean, first of all, to network with our Notre Dame alums who are down there, because they're all great people, and it's been so cool to see this kind of professional kind of social side of them as, they're supporting their school. But then in terms of our actual Brazilian high schoolers, making the videos with all of our Brazilian students here was really fun, and it was cool to see how quickly they all responded when I said, hey, would you mind if I filmed you in Portuguese a little bit so we could get some recruiting materials? Everyone was very, very enthusiastic to volunteer, and ended up being really fun for every single one of them, so I enjoyed it a lot.
Terrific, and I'll go ahead and we'll start the microphone with you and pass it on down the line. Tell me a little bit about what advice would you have? So many students are considering whether they actually leave campus for a semester, maybe football season, and are nervous about that to study abroad, but you guys obviously had a great experience. What advice would you have for people looking at that possibility?
Well, I guess my first advice is go abroad for sure. I think it's totally worth it. It definitely changed my life. It made me a more open and interested person in the rest of the world. I think the one thing that I would advise other people to do too is really focus on the language commitment. You're able to speak English every single day here in the United States, but it's pretty hard to find people to speak Portuguese with, other than Felipe.
I was going to say, you found one.
Yeah, so take advantage of it while you're in the country, I guess, would be my main piece of advice.
All right, and Felipe, you're spending just 1 year here at Notre Dame, but this is your year abroad. So what advice would you have for people looking at the possibility of going elsewhere?
Pretty much the same that Alvin said. Like, go abroad. It's awesome. It's a new culture. It's different way of thinking, and the new languages. Here, I'm trying to hang out as much as possible with like Americans and try to speak English as much as possible to try to improve the language.
Well, you got hang out in there, so you're pretty good at picking up just the general conversational English, obviously.
Yeah. It's kind of hard. It's harder to get the language from like a casual conversation than it is in class because there's all this slang and things. So.
Well, you're doing a terrific job. And how about you, Dan? What advice would you have?
Well, the way I like to think about it is once you've been to an unfamiliar city, one of the largest cities in the world where you don't speak the language, and you get stuck on a bus going the wrong way, and you have no way of getting out unless you find a way to talk to the bus driver and figure out where you are, any kind of language situation in the U.S. is going to be pretty easy. So, after that, a job interview is pretty easy. So I think it's really good because it builds up a lot of confidence in social situations, and you just learn so much more about yourself being put in difficult situations like that and really learning how to get yourself out. So that's my answer that comes from some difficult personal experience.
I was going to say, maybe it sounds like you've had some
a little
background in that.
autobiographical, maybe.
All right, well, thank you guys so much. We have one last question for you. You are on the record here. No pressure. World Cup, who do you think is going to go?
I'll say Brazil.
All right, safe answer. Sitting in the middle of the sofa here, you have somebody who's pretty dedicated
I'll
to that.
definitely say Brazil. We're playing at home and our team looked great. I hope we're gonna win.
Yeah, I mean, I think Brazil definitely is the favorite, but my Brazilian host parent always said that America was the sleeper, so you guys better watch out, Felipe.
All right, well, we've got a competition headed our way. Thank you guys so much for getting up at this early hour. I don't think it's very often that Notre Dame students are getting up at 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning, but thank you so much for setting your alarms and starting the day with us here. We appreciate it. And you're all probably going right back to sleep after this?
Oh, for sure.
All right, thank you guys. And earlier in the broadcast, we got a special musical performance from a young alumnus. The New York Times calls him one of the most versatile emerging artists on the scene. Notre Dame Day reporter Catherine Dudas interviewed singer-songwriter Pat McKillen before his performance here in the studio. Let's take a look.
Yeah, I'm here at the Notre Dame Day performance stage with Pat McKillen. He's a Notre Dame grad who is a singer-songwriter in Chicago. Pat, hello. You released an album recently, right?
I did. It's a 7-song EP called Love Without Me, recorded and produced by myself. Kind of a cross between my folk rock roots and introducing some more pop and hip-hop percussive beats to it. So,
yeah. So that's kind of how you'd categorize your music.
yeah, it's I would call it progressive folk rock, something like that. As many words as possible.
Okay. Well, let's hear it. Let's decide for ourselves. Okay, rock it.
A couple whiskeys later and you're staring at the sky. Your back's on the pavement and the moon is on fire. The moon's on fire. This is my country song for the city girls. This is my one more for the road. This is the late night walk home after one too many, and this is my one last love. So around in America, they're dancing in the sunshine. So down in Chicago, I'll be soaking up the moonlight. I'm not gonna stop until I can get this one right. This is my country song for the city girls. Couple minutes later and your life has passed you by. You stare into the moon now and you're asking yourself why. Oh, these little things that she might say, all that she does in a mixed up way. another lonesome minute here in another lonesome day. So we're out in America, they're dancing in the sunshine. So we're down in Chicago, I'll be soaking up the moonlight. I'm not gonna stop until I can get this one right. This is my country song for the city girls. Oh, this is my country song for the city girls. Oh, no, no. Oh, she ain't coming home. No, and I'm out here on my own. No, no, I can't see it all. This is my country song for the city girls. This is my one more for the road. So we're out in America, they're dancing in the sunshine. So we're down in Chicago, I'll be soaking up the moonlight. I'm not gonna stop until I can get this one right. This is my country song for the city girls. Oh, this is my country song for the city girls. Oh, this is my country song. Oh, this is my country song for the city girls.
Notre Dame Day is a global celebration, and that means we are broadcasting live to screens around the world. Right here under the dome, you can hear we're still getting ready for the day. It is pretty early in the morning, but we are not the only ones who have been up all night. Notre Dame Day reporter Claire Rembecki visited the offices of The Observer, the student-run newspaper serving St. Mary's and Notre Dame, as they created the edition that will be arriving on newsstands right about now. Take a look.
As you can see, the staff is hard at work behind me, putting the finishing touches on tomorrow's issue. I'm met here with Erin, who is the copy editor for the Viewpoint section, and Anne-Marie, who is the serving editor-in-chief. Erin, when did you start putting together stories for tomorrow's issue?
Around 6:30 p.m. tonight, I got here.
And about how many stories are going to be in your section of The Observer?
About 4 stories in my section, about 20 in the entire newspaper.
And Anna-Marie, how long do you intend being here tonight?
I hope not too much longer, but it'll probably end up being between 2 and 3.
Can we get a sneak peek of tomorrow's headline?
Sure. We have an exciting story about the canonizations of Popes John Paul II and John the 23rd coming up tomorrow. So.
Fantastic. Well, I'll let you guys get back to work. I'm sure you have a lot to do. That's the latest from the offices of The Observer. As always, you can pick up tomorrow's issue just about anywhere on campus tomorrow morning.
Earlier, we spoke with 2 Notre Dame students who are using their business know-how to make a big difference in the South Bend community. Peter Wu and Jake Bebar created a unique program called Jiffy. It stands for the Jubilee Initiative for Financial Inclusion, and it's helping people in debt get back on their feet. Jack Nolan welcomed Peter and Jake to the Notre Dame Day studio to talk about their program. Take a look.
South Bend, Indiana currently lives under the shadows of its, Rust Belt legacy. More than a quarter of people in South Bend are living at or below the poverty line, and shockingly, more than 44% of children in South Bend are in poverty. After freshman year of college, I had a chance to go to India and do some research on tribal money lending, and that's when my interest in how debt plays in people's lives started budding. When I came back, I wanted a way to really apply that directly into my environment in school, and I soon learned a lot about the predatory financial services that are being offered to the under-resourced populations, and that really hit me hard, and it really gave me an inspiration to start something right here at home at Notre Dame that could really make an impact.
The Jubilee Initiative for Financial Inclusion, also known as Jiffy, is a student-run microfinance organization at the University of Notre Dame. What we basically do is try and provide credit sourcing for people in the South Bend community so that they don't have to go to predatory payday lenders.
There are more than 15 different payday lending storefronts around South Bend, and we estimate that around 7,000 borrowers actively take out these payday loans every year in South Bend.
How it would regularly work with a payday lender is they would go to the payday lender, ask for the loan, have to pay it back in about 2 weeks with an interest rate of about 390%. And obviously, if someone can't afford it in 1 week, they're not going to be able to pay it back 2 weeks later with that huge fee. And so this just starts a huge cycle of poverty.
I lost my job. I was laid off, called back. And when I had called back, then I was laid off again. So I decided to go to school until that was my bills just really went really bad. I couldn't get caught up. I got behind.
Jiffy was started on this idea that we should be a nonprofit that brings people out of poverty, in contrast with a nonprofit that just helps people manage poverty.
One of my favorite parts of working with Jiffy is my ability to kind of be with our clients and really live what they're living.
Working with Jiffy is different from other companies because they give you a chance, and although you may have bad credit.
I think a lot of times you see organizations where it's being run in a way that you don't really get to do much, and I pretty much knew from day one that Jiffy was going to be actually doing things.
Jiffy's not trying to fix a broken arm with a Band-Aid. We're here to put on the full cast to get people back in recovery and to bring that financial independence to South Bend.
If everyone was able to think about how they could make a difference with their lives at the moment without having to wait for the next big thing to happen, I think it'll be really powerful.
We're trying to be that different organization that really seeks to break the greater problem.
Jiffy recognizes that we are only one small part of the solution, and our success is not going to change the world, but what drives us every day is the fact that if we do our job, it'll change someone's world.
And here now in our interview area with us are Jake Bibar and Peter Wu. Thank you very much for joining us. They are the founders of the Jubilee Initiative, or financial inclusion, better known as Jiffy. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
Now, what were some of the challenges that you faced while trying to start this up, Peter?
Sure. Yeah, I guess I can take that question. The biggest challenge I think we faced was getting a clear vision on what we wanted to do. We had a pretty unique idea that no one's ever really tackled before. And we wanted to see how we could take what we have here, the resources at Notre Dame, as well as what we've been learning in class, and apply it to real life to really make an impact in the South Bend community. And luckily, we've found a lot of good resources through the Jago Center and through Professor Melissa Paulson. We were able to get really good connections to help us kind of shape our vision and go from there.
Jay, can you tell us a little bit more about how the lending process works?
Yeah, definitely. So the lending process has definitely changed a bit as we've kind of figured out what works and what doesn't work. To kind of start off, a client calls just kind of telling us their situation, what they've been involved with, and just kind of what their history is, so we can find out kind of a better overall aspect of who they are. After that, we have an initial meeting with them, kind of go through their credit report, not so much to see if they're qualified for a loan, but more to get an overall view of their entire financial situation. We really work on trying to make sure that we understand the whole person that we're working with, so the loan process is very unique to the specific person that we work with. And then the client, if issued a loan, will meet with the same exact loan officer who is a student every 2 weeks, and when they make their payment for a loan, we actually go through a financial empowerment curriculum piece. So it's very, very unique and important to each client that we're giving them that personal kind of response.
Now, Peter, what makes your organization, Jiffy, different from what's more commonly known as the average payday lender?
Yeah, so I think there are many key areas where we are different from the payday lender. First of all, I think that we really have our clients' benefit in mind. We took a lot from what we learned here about Catholic social thought and really applied it to enterprise to see how we can structure products that are not only profitable but also edifying for the client itself. We like to talk about the interest rates. The payday lenders charge up to 400% in Indiana, whereas we only charge 21% at this point. But what really differentiates us is what Jake really mentioned, having this personal touch with everyone, making sure that they're being catered to according to their needs.
Jake, can you tell us how many people you've helped so far in South Bend?
Yeah, so as of now, we've given out 12 loans in total. We've met with well more than that, many more people. So even if we can't issue a loan to a client, we'll still meet with them often to try and help them out in any way that we can, whether that's helping them build a resume, kind of helping them partner with community organizations, just to try and see what resources would be best for them. We're really interested in what's going to be best for them, and if a loan isn't best for them, then we don't want to give them that loan. But we have helped 12 clients, and ranging anywhere from helping them get to training sessions to fixing emergency situations.
Now, Peter, in an ideal world, where do you see the organization in 10 years?
We like to tell ourselves that ideally we shouldn't exist anymore down the line, because no one would need to have to visit a lender to fill their immediate needs. But at the same time, being more realistic, we hope to be at a place where we can serve all 7,000 members of our South Bend community who regularly visit payday lenders. We hope to be the #1 place that people think about when they have a crunch in their financial budgeting and practices. So yeah, that's where we see ourselves in 10, 15 years.
A great use of your education, business and ethics, all combined into one.
Thanks to Mendoza, yeah, that's great.
Guys, thank you.
Awesome.
Did a good job, too. I like the shirts.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Much more comfortable than most of the ties that I have, so I really do like that.
Such great ideas, and so many of them here on the Notre Dame campus. As you've heard during today's broadcast, Bloomberg Business Week has ranked Notre Dame's Mendoza College of Business #1 in the nation for an unprecedented 5 consecutive years. A big part of that, the professors at the head of the classroom. Professor Ed Hums visited Jack Nolan in the Notre Dame Day studio to talk about what it's like to teach at Notre Dame, and some of his answers might surprise you. Let's watch.
And joining us now in the studio here on Notre Dame Day is a man who Bloomberg Business Week calls one of America's favorite business professors. Professor Ed Hums joins us now from, of course, the Mendoza College of Business. Thanks for staying up late tonight.
Jack, thanks a lot, buddy. Glad to be here.
Now, what topics do you teach?
I teach accounting. I teach financial accounting. I teach managerial accounting, primarily to our sophomores. So the students first coming into the College of Business, that's where I get to see them, and it's a great opportunity to deal with a lot of students that are thinking about a business career, and whether you're majoring in accounting or finance or marketing, we get to see them all.
Now, I don't want people to think that we're jewelry guys, but we were comparing jewelry earlier. And you have a football championship ring.
This is a 1973 championship ring from Notre Dame. I was Eric Persigian's lead student trainer that year. And it was a great experience.
I have to ask you, because I think he's one of the great people I've ever met.
Absolutely.
What did you learn from that experience from Era?
What I learned from Era is intensity, is to do everything into it excellent and to do everything first class, to be well prepared. He was one of the most intense people I ever met in my life, but you know something, he was very organized, and his players loved him. His players absolutely loved him.
Take me through your path from that and graduating, getting your Notre Dame degree, and returning here as a professor.
Well, I had a chance, when I was graduating, I had a chance to take a job in a position in the athletic department. So I started in the ticket office at Notre Dame. I actually got the job before I graduated in March of '75. Spent a little time in the ticket office, went over to the main building, worked in accounting, worked in finance, worked in budgeting, worked in taxes, worked in business operations for a while. And then in 1989, they asked me to go over and teach a class over in the College of Business, kind of to help them out. And I took that opportunity. I was kind of scared because I wasn't much of a student, you know. And I took the opportunity and started teaching part-time up until about 2000, when I had the opportunity to go over there on a full-time basis. And so my teaching career full-time started in 2000. I've been there ever since.
You've done a lot of unique things, and I don't know, I guess we'll ask you how you convinced your wife to do this after we explain what it was, but you and your wife, Shirley, were Notre Dame's first ever faculty in residence.
We are. Yes.
And you're still faculty.
We still are.
Where do you live?
We live in Lyons Hall, which is amazing. When I went to Notre Dame, Jack, I came in 1971. I came with Digger. In 1971, Notre Dame was all men. And now, every morning, I wake up with 190 nieces. Well, what happened is Student Affairs, and it was primarily Aaron Hoffman Harding, was looking for somebody to pilot this program. They approached us. We said yes. Took a little convincing for Shirley. but she agreed to it. And we moved into Lyons Hall this summer, and we've been in Lyons Hall this year. And we're there to serve as a good role model for the students and just to show them what a faculty member's like, the accessibility, and just to develop a closer relationship with students and faculty. One of the things that you have sometimes as an institution gets bigger is the student and faculty tend to do this. They tend to move apart a little bit. And I think these are efforts that Student Affairs and the Provost Office are making to close that gap. And it's worked out very well. We've had a great experience, and the women in Lyons are just wonderful.
Now, we didn't have a chance to chat about this, but do you have some kids?
It's just Shirley and myself.
So now you have tons of daughters.
190, yes.
Does your wife feel kind of like the house mom to a degree?
She gets to hear a lot of things. Yeah, it's interesting. If folks are familiar with Lyons Hall, they have the Lyons Arch, which is kind of the traditional spot on campus. Our bedroom is right next to the arch at Lyons Hall, so she tends to hear a lot of conversations when they drop people off and stop visiting and things like that. Yeah, but the women were wonderful.
Now, how long will you do this?
Hopefully for a couple of years. You're faculty and residents. 1 year you're a visitor, and after that you become more of a resident and being exposed to the entire life cycle of a year here at Notre Dame. And I think next year it'll be a little bit more comfortable for us.
So you're now you may have a unique experience at both you and your wife. I'm not sure there are too many that have done as many things as you have done. You certainly may be the first adult male ever to live in a female residence hall.
Adult male, that's not a priest.
That's not a priest.
Not a member.
Yes.
That's correct. Yeah, so I break parietals every night.
That is a great line. And again, a civilian, I guess we could say, because obviously the priests are in residence here all the time.
Absolutely,
but, I mean, I think that's just fascinating. I really do, and I did not know this beforehand. What's your favorite part of teaching at Notre Dame?
My favorite part of teaching is being around my students. The students that you have at Notre Dame are just exceptional. I mean, I've always told people the smartest folks on this campus are your undergraduate students. They're very smart. They might not have the most experience, but they're wonderful people. They're intelligent. They've got great plans. They come from a great background, most of them, and it's just unbelievable. It's exciting to be here. I've seen other faculty members who've come to Notre Dame, and the reason they come to Notre Dame is not necessarily for the money, but for the environment, for the uplifting experience that they have with their students. It's really an exciting time to be here.
Well, thanks for staying up late.
I'll tell you,
you don't have a long way to go.
We don't have a long way to go home, and it's not necessarily that late, because sometimes, the girls stay up a little late. So can you give a shout out to Lyons Hall?
Absolutely.
There's a little Lyons love to everybody, and appreciate it.
So nice,
Jack. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very, very much.
All right, and before we check out for this hour, we're going to check in with Wendy Angst from the Mendoza College of Business. And Wendy, you've been keeping track of social media stats. What's new?
Well, thank you, Abby. We are over here monitoring live at the website notredameday.nd.edu, and just wanted to highlight that you can visit this site. You can watch the video live. You can see the countdown of how much time is left in our ND Day campaign. And this big green button up to the top right corner of the screen, you just click there once, and if you donate a minimum of $10, that enables you to allocate 3 different votes for where you'd like some funding to go through this campaign. So we encourage you to check out notredameday.nd.edu. And then the screen in the middle here, we're watching live the tweets that are coming in from around the world. We have over 62 countries participating. And if you just include the hashtag NDDay or hashtag ProudToBeND, we can monitor and see your great comments coming in. So we encourage you to get involved and log on to our website and hashtag NDDay. I'll turn it over to Stu.
Or pardon me, it wouldn't be a Notre Dame celebration without a little healthy competition, right, Stu?
Exactly. And we're looking at the leaderboard right now. So as of the last hour, we had 952 people that have given just over $500,000. And as Wendy said, as you give, you can also vote. So if we look at the leaderboard so far, we're going to go down to the dorms right now. Right now, Morrissey is leading. Dillon Hall with Keenan coming in 3rd place. So if you just give that gift, you can make that gift as well and make the vote as well. And we go down right now, financial aid is winning. So as if you're drinking your cup of coffee, come up, do the green give and vote, vote for your top choices. And the other thing is, if you already given, the people that have gone on social media, there's a correlation between social media and the top vote getters. So have a cup of coffee, give a gift to Notre Dame, and NotreDameDay.nd.edu. So back over to Abby, who'll tell us about
what's going on the next hour.
Yeah, thanks so much, Stu.
Oh, wait a second.
What's with the green
let me
hats?
just
I thought
read
those were
that.
just festive for the morning.
So over the overnight hours, they said that if we don't, once we get over 1,000 gifts, we will take off our green hats. So please, I don't want to look like the Lucky Charms leprechaun anymore. So please give, and hopefully we will be out of our green hats next hour.
But green's so your color, Stu.
That's exactly right. Thank you, Abby.
All right, thanks so much, guys. We appreciate it. We'll check in with you a little bit later. And when we come back live at the top of our next hour, we have so much in store for you. Please tune in. We're going to be visiting with U.S. Senator Joe Donnelly, and we'll also go live to the Basilica of the Sacred Heart. And we'll be visiting with some very special guests from the Boston Marathon, one who was injured in last year's bombing, and then she ran again this year. So a very special hour ahead. We look forward to seeing you then.